Hey everyone, welcome to Wealth Redefined. I'm your host, Michael Reynolds, certified financial planner, owner of Elevation Financial, and you can find me at elevationfinancial.com. Today, I want to talk to you about scams, how to recognize and avoid scams. Scams like identity theft, financial scams, they're on the rise. They continue to get worse and worse. They're no longer, confined to, weird emails or obscure websites. They've really evolved into much more sophisticated schemes that are harder to detect. They're in email, social media, websites, phone calls. AI is making all this worse. So scams are getting worse and worse. According to the FTC, people reported losing $10 billion to scams in 2023. That's $1 billion more than in 2022, and the highest ever in losses reported to the FTC, even though the number of fraud reports was about the same as last year. So more and more money is being taken from people through scams. So it's not just about staying ahead of the scams. It's about, building a barrier around your finances and your personal information and being vigilant. So you got to arm yourself with tools and knowledge. That stuff is necessary to spot the red flags of a scam and, really understand the strategies to avoid these really devastating intrusions into our lives. So we're going to talk about how to recognize and avoid scams. We're going to talk through a lot of material today. It's a little bit longer today, so buckle up. I want to dig into this. So first, let's talk about recognizing the signs of a scam. And the bulk of what we're going to talk about today is recognizing and avoiding some of these common scenarios and common ways people scam individuals out of money and identity theft. So the first step in protecting your money is learning to distinguish between legitimate communication and potential scams. So being able to understand the hallmarks and the red flags of a scam is really important. Scammers have become really adept at crafting really convincing narratives and using tactics that, prey on our fears, our desires, and it really makes it more difficult to immediately identify their schemes. And this is especially true for those that are, less tech savvy, people that are maybe less comfortable with technology, and, they can be very vulnerable. So one thing you can recognize is unsolicited contact. First of all, be suspicious of any unsolicited contact. This is when you receive some kind of communication from someone you don't know, and scammers often, use this as their opening move. Basically, they cast a pretty wide net. It's a numbers game to scammers, and you want to kind of look for red flags and issues in unsolicited communication to prepare yourself and recognize how to react. So, it could be phone calls. Unexpected phone calls from people claiming to represent reputable companies or financial institutions, or sometimes even government agencies. They might offer investment opportunities, alert you to supposed issues with your bank account, or claim you owe taxes. It's really important to remember that for the most part, legitimate organizations typically don't call customers out of the blue to discuss sensitive issues or offer unsolicited deals. It can come through emails. Scammers often send mass emails designed to, mimic the look and feel of genuine websites or genuine entities, genuine brands. These emails might, urge you to click on a link to resolve a problem with your account or claim a prize. But these links often lead to malware being installed or to a phishing site, which is designed to steal your information by pretending to be a legitimate site. It can also come through text messages. Text messages involve sending you a text that prompts you to take action, like verifying your account information or clicking a link. And, they really prey on the immediacy and personal nature of text messages to, coax you into responding without thinking. Social media is also a platform where you can receive scam communication. They reach out through social media by sending messages from fake profiles or hacking into and using compromised accounts of people they know, or cloning those accounts. And they can include appealing offers or requests for money, like an emergency or a made-up emergency, and that links to malicious websites. So, recognizing unsolicited contact, first off, as a red flag is really important. Whether it's a phone call from an unknown number, an email from an unfamiliar sender, a text message, be skeptical of everything that's unsolicited. Verify the legitimacy of the contact through independent means, like directly calling the company or institution supposedly reaching out to you. So if, Someone calls and says they're from Microsoft, hang up and look for Microsoft's tech support number and ask them if this is a legitimate, contact. So I would treat all unsolicited contact with caution and be skeptical of anybody reaching out of the blue that you don't know. Next, too good to be true offers, or on the flip side, fear-based problems. This is a common tactic. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Scammers really are good at crafting offers that appear irresistible. They promise substantial rewards for minimal effort or investment. And these too good to be true offers are designed to tap into our, deepest desires for financial security, the dream of sudden wealth, or the hope of some kind of lucky break. So on the flip side, scammers can also manufacture scary sounding financial or legal problems to trick you into taking hasty action. So again, be very skeptical. Some variations of this include, high returns, low investment. One of the common, tactics that scammers use is to lure people into promising great return with little or no risk. We're all looking for that, right? And so investment scams are in this category where, they give you some kind of promise of making significant money in a short period of time without the usual risks of investing. They might present you with some kind of exclusive opportunity to invest in new technology, a groundbreaking product or a secret stock tip that's guaranteed to explode in value. And the catch, of course, is you have to act fast and, of course, send money up front. Another example, lottery wins or unexpected inheritances. Another one involves notifying you that you've won the lottery, or you have an unexpected inheritance from some long lost relative you didn't know about. You might get an email, a letter, a text message, all of it claims you've got some large sum of money waiting for you. And so, of course, the caveat is, to claim the money, you're asked to pay a fee upfront for taxes or legal fees or other, quote, administrative costs. Also, another tactic is supposedly a critical problem with your account or your computer. Scammers will often call you out of the blue and pretend to be tech support from a major tech company. And they'll say that your computer or some other account has been hacked and that you need to pay them to resolve the problem. The scammer will then trick you into giving them remote access to your computer, which then allows them access to all your files. And they can even set up programs that capture everything you do on your computer. So at this point, they've got all of your personal information for the most part. Sometimes instead of calling, they'll place a virus or the program on your computer that gets there maybe through an infected email or some other method. And then that causes a pop-up to appear with a scary message telling you to call tech support to fix the issue. And when you call the number, it sends you to the scammer, who then continues the ruse, tends to help you while gathering personal information to use for access to your finances. There's another one, warrant out for your arrest. This is also pretty common. If you've been contacted by someone pretending to be law enforcement, they might claim there's a warrant out for your arrest. They manipulate caller ID to make it look like the call is coming from a local number, local sheriff's office even, or maybe a local jail. They'll inform you that there's an outstanding warrant for unpaid debts, missed jury duty, other minor infractions, and it's got to be paid promptly. So, they trick you into wiring money through services like Western Union or MoneyGram, or purchasing prepaid credit cards and registering them online. So the FTC is cautioning, consumers to really beware of imposters posing as police officers. This is going around, has been for a while. And, again, if it's the caller might claim that you've hacked into someone's computer, causing, fraud, and they're accusing you of fraud. And they're asking you to, send money to cover the fines or something. So here's some indications that a fake debt collector or law enforcement is scamming you with a fake arrest warrant scam. So again, claims of warrant for your arrest. Authentic police typically don't call first. They'll either knock on your door or send certified mail if legal action is warranted. You won't get a 15-minute warning to pay over the phone. That's not how it works. Also demands, if they demand payment for unrecognized, like if you don't know the loan, if you have never heard of it and they demand payment for it, that's a red flag. If they refuse to provide contact information like a mailing address or a phone number, if they ask for personal information, or again, high pressure tactics like threats of arrest or reporting to law enforcement agencies, anything high pressure like that. So what do you do if you encounter a situation like this? First of all, request the caller's name, company, street address, and telephone number. Refuse to discuss any debt until you receive written validation notice. If you feel threatened, go ahead and contact your local police department. Notify your bank and credit card companies if you've revealed any personal information. Alert all three major credit bureaus to place an alert on your file. Verify with the loan company directly if you suspect a legitimate loan but are not sure of the obligation, and then file a complaint with ic3.gov. We'll talk more about that later as well. So again, a legitimate validation notice would, show the detail of the debt amount, the creditor name, your rights under the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, and don't pay it right away. Of course, make sure you validate it, and stop communication with the caller. Hang up. So make sure you don't give any personal information until you've verified that this is legitimate. So be skeptical overall. Skepticism is your first defense against scams like this. So first of all, it prompts verification. If you're skeptical, it drives you to prompt verification. Make sure you really verify what's going on here. Slows down your decision making. If you're skeptical, you want to slow down decision making. Don't react quickly. Don't react impulsively. Give yourself time to think critically about the offer or the notice or whatever it is. Consult with other people you trust, and also protect your information. If you're skeptical, you're going to safeguard your information more. So be skeptical overall, and that's going to be a really good tool for you. So scammers will typically request personal or financial information. When they're trying to scam you, they're going to get as much out of you as possible. One of the clearest red flags that indicates a potential scam is an unsolicited request for personal or financial information. Personal data is a gold mine. Scammers go to great lengths to acquire it. They can use it against you in many different ways. So understanding how legitimate organizations handle sensitive information can help you differentiate between genuine requests and attempts at deception. So when a legitimate organization requests information, they understand the importance of data security and privacy. They have protocols in place to protect your information, and they're very strict about that. They'll never ask you for sensitive information through insecure channels like email or phone calls out of the blue typically, or text messages. When there's genuine need for information, like when you're setting up an account or initiating a transaction, is typically through a secure platform on their website. So scammers seek specific information that's going to really help them, attack and get your personal and get your financial information. So some things they request typically include social security numbers. They want that for sure. They can commit identity theft. They can apply for loans, file false tax returns in your name. So they want your social security number. So don't give that out unless you're really sure it's a legitimate communication from a legitimate organization. They want your bank account details. They want your bank account number specifically. They can take money with your bank account number. They want your credit card numbers, obviously. They want passwords and PINs. They want passwords to your accounts, and they want PINs to your, debit card, credit card, other information. And they just want general personal information, your full name, your address, your date of birth, answers to security questions. All of those things can be used to impersonate you and get information. So how do you protect yourself against this stuff? You want to verify the source. Again, verify that you're receiving a request from a legitimate source. Use secure communication. Again, these companies will, these companies, meaning legitimate companies, will communicate over secure channels. Secure website. Make sure the domain matches their website. Look for phishing attempts. Scammers will often use phishing emails or messages designed to mimic legitimate organizations. They even look very real. They have the logo of the bank or organization right there on the website. But look for things like the domain's a little off. Make sure you Google the actual name of the bank and look at their website and compare it with the website you're looking at and make sure it's legitimate. The domain should match exactly. Make sure there's no weird, grammar or spelling issues. Also, don't believe what you see in a screen share. Scammers will often show you a screen share or screenshot that appears to be your bank. They will get you on the phone, get you on a Zoom meeting or something, and they'll say, "Oh, look, it looks like you've sent me, I've sent you too much money." Maybe they pretend to send you money, and it looks like they've sent you too much money, and your account has like hundreds of thousands of dollars in it, and then they demand that you send it back to them because there's been a mistake. And then, of course, you're sending them money out of the blue. So if they do a screen share with you and show you a screenshot of your bank and what looks like your online banking, that's a big red flag. That's a way they get you to think that you're looking at your own bank balance online. Usually scammers use high pressure tactics as well. High pressure is a real red flag and a hallmark of scammers. They rush people into making decisions without the time to think critically or to consult other people. So scammers are well aware the more time you have to consider what's going on, the more likely you are to recognize it as fraud. So by creating a false sense of urgency or using fear-based tactics, they try to cloud your judgment and push you into action before you realize what's going on. So the psychology behind pressure is very, very effective. The use of urgency and fear taps into basic human instincts, our responses to danger and the fear of missing out. So when we're made to feel as though we're in a situation with limited time to act, our ability to weigh decisions logically can be really compromised. Scammers exploit these psychological triggers, and they know that people under stress are more likely to make mistakes or overlook red flags. So some of these common phrases and tactics include, offer only valid for a limited time, which suggests that if you don't act now, you'll miss out on the opportunity. Or urgent action required to avoid account closure. This implies that a failure to act will result in, consequences. Confirm your details immediately to prevent identity theft. This is irony because the tactic is designed to steal the information it's pretending to protect. Or you've won a prize, you must claim it within 24 hours. This is a classic, tactic to get you to provide personal information or send supposed fees to get your prize quickly. Or last chance to get out of debt now. This targets vulnerabilities to solve a financial problem for you that people are desperate to get out of. So how do you counteract these high pressure tactics? First of all, don't respond immediately, whether it's an email, a phone call, a message, take your time. Scammers push for a quick decision. Legitimate businesses will not. Legitimate businesses will give you plenty of time to make decisions. Consult with someone you trust. If you discuss the situation with a friend or family member, that can really help you, get clarity. Discuss with a professional, your accountant, your financial advisor, your attorney, someone that can really help you, give you guidance on what's going on. Verify independently. Again, contact the company directly through an official channel to make sure it's legitimate. And, again, be skeptical. Recognize that these are common tactics of scammers. Again, I want to stress legitimate opportunities and legitimate organizations understand the importance of making informed decisions, and they will respect, the need for time, for clarity, and security. Another thing to look out for, poor grammar and spelling. So this is a really straightforward but effective way to spot scams. A lot of scams, when they communicate with you, they will, whether it's email, text, they'll have a lot of grammatical mistakes and spelling errors, and that can be a red flag. Legitimate organizations, have a lot of effort put into polished professional communication. They have whole teams available to make sure that every piece of communication they send out is clear, it's professional, error-free. And in contrast, scammers are often operating very quickly. They may not be native speakers of the language they're using, or they might just lack the resources to produce polished content. So the result is the communication is typically full of errors, and that can be a red flag. So some common errors are misspellings and typos, grammar mistakes, punctuation errors, inconsistent formatting. Also, strange salutations or closings can be a hallmark of scamming. So, vague greetings like "dear customer" instead of your name, or they might sign off in a way that looks weird, like "best wishes from the bank manager," things that are very odd sounding. And so you want to react very carefully. Don't click links if you suspect fraud. Verify independently and report to the organization they're pretending to be, for example. Report to the FTC, other sources, etc. So one side note here, while grammar and spelling errors are still pretty common, this method of detecting scams could become harder because AI tools are now making it easier to craft well-written messages that are error-free. So, be aware of that as well. Also, look for mismatched or suspicious links and email addresses. Scammers frequently will use deceptive links and email addresses to masquerade as legitimate businesses. So they try to trick you into giving personal information, again, by pretending to be the site that you think is legitimate. So check the domain name, for example. A lot of times, the domain name is basically like the www.something.com, for example. Look at it very carefully. Sometimes they will be very sneaky, and they will use something like, gmail.com might have two L's in it, or amazon.com might have a zero in place of the O in Amazon. So it looks like you're on Amazon, but it's really a fake site. So look for weird little inconsistencies in the domain name and in email addresses as well. Look for those subtle, misalignments of characters. And again, always verify with the official source. Look at links for authenticity. Hover over links, but don't click them if you're wary of it. So if you hover over a link in an email or on a website, it should pop up and show you the full link address. And so what you see in the message might be one thing, but the actual link it's going to could be something else. So hover, but don't click, and you can see that. Also, always look for HTTPS in organization websites. That signifies that it's a secure website. Now, a lot of scammers will still use HTTPS, but this can be something to watch out for. And look for shortened links. Things like Bitly or other link shortening services can be a way to hide and obfuscate links that are going to a scam site. There's also link scanning tools that you can use in your browser. They can scan links, keep your browser updated. Usually updated browsers will watch out for this stuff as well and help you kind of keep an eye on this stuff. Also, watch out for urgent calls from supposed close friends or family members asking for money. Voice cloning scams are getting better and better. Voice cloning scams represent a really, really sophisticated evolution in scam artistry, I would say, because AI technology is allowing us to clone voices. And this typically unfolds in a series of steps. It looks like this. The first is the setup. The setup is data gathering. So the scammer will conduct research by getting information from social media accounts. Like they'll get your family members' names, friends, colleagues. And this is data mining to get as much information about you as possible. Then they'll get a voice sample. The scammers place a call to you in an effort to get voice samples to use for cloning. They're counting on you answering the phone and giving a voice sample, but they could even use a recorded voicemail greeting. So they only need a few seconds of data or a few seconds of recording of your voice to be able to clone your voice. So they'll create a clone using AI, and they'll create a digital replica of your voice, and they can use that to say things in your voice. So then the next step is you'll receive an urgent phone call, the victim of this scam. So, if you receive a phone call from an unexpected number, actually, I'm sorry, it could be an expected number. They could use caller ID spoofing to make it look like it's coming from a local number or even a number from one of your family members. They could get a family member's phone number and spoof it. And then they use the cloned voice of that family member. So they could have done this voice sample by calling one of your family members, getting a voice sample, and then using that to call you. And the story is, the family member is asking for immediate help, send them money. They're in trouble, hospitalized, or stranded in a foreign country, whatever it is. They need money right away to help them. And, you've got to wire money or buy gift cards or send crypto or whatever it is. And they often also stress the need for secrecy and urgency, which, they advise you not to contact anyone else because that could, supposedly complicate their situation. It's all very high pressure. So they use this psychological manipulation to exploit, your fear and your trust in people because you feel like it's someone legitimate calling you. You feel like it's someone hearing, someone in your family members, if a loved one's voice sounds legitimate. And so again, verify independently. Pause. Attempt to verify the caller's identity by asking them questions that only that person might know. Maybe call them back on a known number or contact another family member and see if they know anything about the situation. Be very, very cautious about these schemes. They're getting better and better. Voice cloning is to the point where it's very hard to distinguish if it's a real person or not. So now that I've terrified you, now that you're absolutely terrified of going online at all, let's talk about avoiding scams in general, just some general stuff to take away and, more things you can do to arm yourself and protect yourself. So education is really the best thing you can do. Stay informed. One of the best sites you can follow is the Federal Trade Commission, which is the FTC. And this provides updates on the latest scams. And you can subscribe to their alerts and stay informed about new and evolving scams at ftc.gov. And that site will be a wealth of information to keep you up to date. Also look for reports or studies published by cybersecurity firms. They can document, the latest tactics used. But the FTC site's really probably the ideal place to go. There's online courses. Maybe if you're really less tech savvy and really want to educate yourself, Coursera or Udemy has courses. And the FTC, again, also offers quizzes that test your ability to spot a scam. I'd advise you to go take those quizzes, see how you do. They can educate you on how to spot scams much more easily using their quizzes. There's also community programs. Law enforcement agencies, police departments often have programs for the community and how to spot scams. Um, Also, you can kind of go as far as do like a little community watch program, even a virtual one. Maybe start a Facebook group, and people can kind of collaborate and warn each other about scams. Or you can even say, "Hey, this looks suspicious. What do you guys think?" And really use the power of a group collaboration to stay safe. Also, implement best practices in security overall. So things like use strong, unique passwords, two-factor authentication, keep your virus software up to date, um, and keep everything as secure as possible from just an overall best practice in security. And keep your knowledge up to date. Again, subscribe to the FTC newsletters. That can help you as well. And just stay educated. Talk to people you trust. When you're securing your personal information, a few key things will really help you. So, strong and unique passwords are a big deal. Create passwords that are a mix of letters and numbers and special characters. And most importantly, the length of the password is what's most important. The longer the password, the more secure it is. Also, use a unique password for all accounts. Don't use the same password across multiple accounts, because if one gets hacked, then they have access to everything. So, use unique passwords across all of your accounts. Also, I strongly urge you to use a password manager. Password managers help you put all your passwords in one encrypted vault, and then that lets you have unique passwords everywhere without the need to remember them all. And it's a great way to do a mass update of all your passwords if you need to at some point. Two-factor authentication. This is one of the best things you can do to make sure you're protected. Two-factor authentication is annoying. You probably won't like it, but it's really, really helpful. Two-factor authentication means that if someone has your password and they try to log into a bank account or a social media account or email account, it will send a text message to your phone or some sort of other external authentication app that requires a code before they can log in. So even if they get your password, this helps secure your account and make sure they can't get access, because they would have that second layer of authentication necessary. Also, monitor your accounts. Look at your statements all the time. If you're using a budgeting tool, then that'll be very easy because you'll see transactions flowing in real time. But look at your transactions, pay attention, set up alerts. I'm a big fan. This may be annoying to some people, but I'm a big fan of setting up your bank and credit cards and everything so that you get a text message every time a transaction happens, so that you can see in real time everything being charged to your account. That's a great way to make sure you're on top of it and see what's going on. Also, be cautious with public Wi-Fi. Avoid doing financial stuff on public Wi-Fi. Or if you do, use a VPN, which is a virtual private network that encrypts your transactions, and that can be a way to kind of protect yourself. Also, keep your software up to date, your browser, your operating system, your antivirus, all that, stay up to date. All right, so this is a lot. Let's wrap up with what to do if you've been scammed. So if you find yourself victim, let's say you've fallen victim to a scam, what do you do? First step, contact your bank or credit card company, report the unauthorized transactions. If someone has taken money from you, inform your bank or credit card immediately. This can help stop further transactions and also start the process of disputing those charges to get your money back. Change your account credentials. Obviously, change your passwords, change your PINs. They might even prompt you to get new bank accounts. Ask your bank what should be done, and they might even issue new bank accounts, definitely new cards, etc. Also, report the scam to the FTC. That's at reportfraud.ftc.gov. And they can't resolve your individual complaint, but it helps them investigate fraud that could lead to action against the scammers overall. Also, report it to the Internet Crime Complaint Center, or IC3. This is another agency that is a partnership between the FBI and the National White Collar Crime Center. Report it to local law enforcement. Report it to your local police station. They can help file a report and might help in the investigation. And then report it also to the website or platform involved. So if the scam happened through a website, app, or social media platform, report the incident to them as well. They might have mechanisms to deal with fraud as well. So you also want to protect your personal information if this happens. Freeze your credit or at least put alerts on it. The three major credit bureaus are Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. And you want to call them or go online and freeze your credit or at least set up alerts. and then monitor your accounts going forward. You're probably going to be a repeat target now for a further scam because you've had some activities. You're on a list for scammers now. So, keep an eye on your bank accounts and credit reports. Look for unauthorized activity happening and be extremely vigilant because it probably will be attempted again. Also, you might want to consider seeking legal advice. If you've lost a lot of money, consult with an attorney who specializes in fraud, and they might help you understand legal options to potentially getting it back. Also, educate others if you've been scammed. Talk to others about what happened and share your story. It might be embarrassing, it might be difficult, you might feel ashamed, but it can help warn others about the scam and prevent them from becoming victims. So if other, you know, uh, members of your community, they might be vulnerable as well, maybe less tech savvy. Talk to them about what happened, warn them, and of course, just stay cautious, stay skeptical. So avoiding scams takes continuous effort. You've got to be proactive. You've got to be skeptical. You've got to be vigilant. And above all, you've got to educate yourself continuously. Scams evolve. Technology is evolving at a rapid pace, and scammers are going to get better and better and better at tricking you into giving away your money or giving away information that helps them steal your money. They thrive in silence. They exploit uncertainty. They thrive on sense of urgency or preying on fear or desires. So question things that are too good to be true or seem suspicious. Trust your gut. If something seems off, it probably is. So I really hope this has helped you, get a better understanding of how to spot scams, how to avoid scams, and how to stay safe. If you feel like there's someone in your life, a loved one who is vulnerable to this, someone who's less tech savvy, someone who might be more vulnerable to falling for scams, send this to them and have them kind of go through this information and help them learn about how to be more vigilant. So we can help protect everyone's money and stay safe. With that, thanks for listening. As always, you can find me on the web at elevationfinancial.com. And if you have any questions about this, especially this topic, I'd love to be helpful in any way. So if you have questions about maybe you or a loved one has been scammed, reach out and feel free to let me know about it. And if you want to talk it over, I'm happy to help. If you're considering potentially working with me, feel free to reach out on my website, book a consultation there, and happy to chat as well. All right. Thanks for joining me today. Have a great day. We'll see you next time.